What is up, guys? My name is Jason Ankin and this is my vlog channel. So yes, we have another vlog today. So thank you for clicking. We're going to start a new segment today. And basically I'm going to start doing book reviews. So today I'm going to basically introduce a book that I have read over the last, I read it last year. It is a book called The Daily Stoic. So this is a book, The Daily Stoic is basically a book that has 366 meditations on wisdom, perseverance, and the art of living. And it says here, it's featuring new translations of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. And these are the three big Stoics. So essentially every day you're getting a new quote talking about these three main Stoic philosophers. And it was written by an individual called Ryan Holiday. So this guy's kind of a popular name, a well-known name within sort of the personal development industry. And he's kind of attached his name kind of to the Stoic philosophy, and he's produced quite a few of these books. So yeah, this is basically, this is the book that I'm going to be reviewing today. So I actually found this book, it was towards the end of 2017, just before I went to university to do my final year. I literally bought this book like 2 or 3 days before I travelled, just in one of the bookshops in Belfast. I think it was Waterstones. And basically I bought it and started reading it from the day that I purchased it. So basically what's cool about it, it has a different quote for a different day of the week. So whatever day you buy the book on, you can basically start from that day. So yes, that's how I found the book. And basically, yeah, so I found it in like September time. So yeah, let me give you a little run through of the sort of the different aspects that you can find within the book. So I'm going to go over a basic summary. It's summarized it here in the front of the book here. So yes, the Daily Stoic offers a daily devotional of Stoic insights and exercises featuring all new translations from the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the playwright Seneca, and the slave-turned-philosopher Epictetus, my favorite philosopher, as well as diamonds like Zeno, Clynthes, and Musonius Rufus. On each page, for every day of the year, you'll find one of the pithy, powerful quotations, as well as historical anecdotes and provocative commentary to help you tackle any problem or any approach, any goal. By following these teachings over the course of a year, and indeed for years to come, you'll find the serenity, self-knowledge, and resilience you need to live well. Very, very big claim. But yes, it's a very, very good book. So it opens with this nice little quote at the front. I'm going to read this. Of all people, only those are at leisure who make time for philosophy. Only they truly live. Not satisfied to merely keep watch over their own days, they annex every age to their own. All the harvest of the past is added to their store. Only an ingrate would fail to see that these great architects of venerable thoughts were born for us and have designed a way of life for us. So this is talking about the idea, the importance of sort of living a life of philosophy. And you're kind of a fool if you sort of go through your life without sort of looking into the past and what the great thinkers of old actually taught. And it's a very, very important quote, I guess. So I'm going to go on and talk about the content list, so how the book's actually structured. So the book is broken into 3 parts, and each part corresponds to a specific discipline within Stoicism. So the 3 parts are the discipline of perception, the discipline of action, and the discipline of will. And these are kind of the 3 central practices within Stoicism. And each part is broken into 4 sub-parts, which corresponds to one of the months of the year. So eventually making up 12 months of the year. So the discipline of perception covers 4 months: January, February, March, and April. So January is about clarity. February is about the passions and emotions. March is about awareness. And April is about unbiased thought. Part 2, the discipline of action, which is covering the months of May, June, July, and August. May is right action. June is problem solving. July is duty. August is pragmatism. And finally, part 3, the discipline of will. September, October, November, December. September is fortitude and resilience. October is virtue and kindness. November, my favorite month in the book, is about acceptance or / Amor Fati. And December is about meditation on morality. And at the end, he basically gives you a basic model of how to practice Stoicism. So yes, he goes into, after this, there's a basic introduction like every book, and all it's doing is basically give you an overview of what Stoicism is, where it came from. It's a basic overview of Stoic history, essentially, which is always good to sort of like, so you understand the philosophy that you're based, where it came from and what it's really trying to teach. So how each chapter, or how each day is structured, is basically, so like it's mentioned at the start, it's mainly centered around the 3 main Stoic philosophers, in particular Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. But there is additional quotes, but primarily it's those 3 big philosophers. And they're kind of the 3 most popular books that everybody kind of lists or reads. So I think that's a good choice to include most of the quotes from those philosophers. But it's a really basic structure. So you've got basically a daily quote. And then what you will have is basically who said the quote and what book it was from. And then you have basically an explanation of the quote. And essentially all that you do on the day that you basically lift up the book and read it, you read that quote for that day. I am aware that there's another book that you can get, which is like it's like a manual, or it's like a journal. So basically every time that you read the quote, you can then write your journal entry of what you think it actually means. I haven't got the journal entry, I just read the book. So I've actually done this, once I got it in September 2017, I actually stuck with it. I actually did read the whole book for 1 year, a different quote every single day. And it's very insightful. It's because I've stuck with it for a year, it's not something that you can unlearn now. So once you've kind of went through this process, you will forever have sort of at least a fundamental understanding of the main principles within Stoicism. So yes, we'll go to a quote. Let's go to my birthday quote, for example, and so my birthday is the 8th of July. Let's see what it says. Alright, so basically for my birthday, the quote is it's a very, very fitting quote for me. And it basically says, so my birthday is July 8th, which is actually coming up next month. Stop Monkeying Around is basically the title. And the quote basically is from Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. So enough of this miserable, whining life. Stop monkeying around. Why are you troubled? What's new here? What's so confounding? The one responsible, take a good look. Or just the matter itself, then look at it. There's nothing else to look at. And as far as the gods go, by now you could try being more straightforward and kind. I'm very straightforward, maybe not so much on the kind part. It's the same whether you've examined these things for 100 years or only 3. So it's talking about a very sort of basic idea that stop monkeying around, basically keep things very straightforward and simple, and focus on just simple things like being kind to people. So I think that's quite a fitting quote for sort of my birthday date. Right, so we'll move to my favourite chapter. So my favourite chapter in the book is the chapter on acceptance, which is November. And why I like this is because it's centered around this principle called Amor Fati. Now, Amor Fati, I think it was coined, I'm not 100% if this is true or not, but I think it might have been coined by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. I think it was Nietzsche. And Amor Fati just basically means a love of fate. And this is basically the idea that sort of you should learn to accept things as they are. And basically this will help you basically this will help you keep peace of mind, because if you're constantly trying to will change and you're trying to sort of affect change in your life, and sometimes that's not going to always work out. There's going to be things in your life that you're never going to accomplish or you're never going to achieve. That's just a fact of life. Some of your desires are going to be unfulfilled, but on top of that, you're going to receive things in life that you don't want. And again, this is just another fact of life. So you should learn to accept that. Learn to accept the fact that some of your desires are going to be left on the table, and you're going to receive a lot of things in your life that you simply do not want to have. And it's kind of just a very realistic way of looking at reality. And one of the things about this, it keeps you kind of, when you have this awareness that some of your desires are not going to be fulfilled and some of you're going to receive things that you don't want, it kind of makes you more calm. It makes you more mentally poised. It makes you more accepting of circumstances. Sometimes people are just way luckier than others. Sometimes people are way unluckier. And you just have to accept that. And my favorite quote is probably the very, very first quote. And this is from my favorite Stoic philosopher, Epictetus. And this kind of encapsulates the sort of underlying principle of acceptance. And he basically says, don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. And this is the idea again. If you're constantly trying to think your life into something that it isn't, and it never occurs, then you suffer as a consequence. But if you're content with the way circumstances are, if you're happy with the way things are now, then you're always going to be happy with your current circumstances. And it's kind of just it's a little trick of perception. And it just keeps you mentally poised, calm, content, happy. So yeah, that would be my favorite chapter on acceptance, Amor Fati. So next I'm going to talk about, at the back of the book, he lists this little model. So this is basically an overview of the basic, it's called a model of late Stoic practice. And these are what's referred to as the 3 disciplines. So as mentioned at the start, the book is structured into 3 parts. So the 3 parts correspond with each one of the 3 disciplines within Stoicism. So the 3 parts of self are the discipline of will, the discipline of action, and the discipline of perception. And basically how you study the discipline of will is through the study of logic. And what you're practicing is the practice of judgment and truth. And essentially what this will train as a consequence is wisdom. It will train the cardinal virtue of wisdom. The second discipline is the discipline of action or impulse control. And what you're meant to study during this is the study of ethics. The practice is duty and the appropriation of action. And what you will learn as a consequence, what you will train, is the virtue of justice and courage. And then the third discipline is the discipline of perception. And what you're meant to study for perception is the study of physics. And the practice is habit and disposition. And the cardinal virtue that you're developing is the cardinal virtue of self-control. So I think that's really cool to have that at the back, because it kind of gives you an overview of the basic, it's almost like a training system that you can then adapt to basically integrate Stoic ideals into your life. And not only that, at the end he gives you a little glossary, and these are all the sort of Greek words that were used throughout the book that have been kind of translated into English. And obviously that would have taken quite a bit of work to do. So yeah, that's basically my overall book review. I would say if I'm going to rate this out of 5, it's not an original book, meaning that the idea of doing a daily primer is not an original idea. And obviously the quotations are from another author, so they're from these ancient Stoic philosophers. So essentially it's an aggregation of wise sayings from other philosophers. So in that sense, it's a very simple, straightforward book to put together in theory. But I would argue that there's probably been quite a bit of work that's went into this book. That's sort of, it's a really sort of, because it combines the three main Stoic philosophers all into a nice kind of anthology. It kind of makes your job easy, rather than sort of like going and studying all of the different philosophers, like looking at Seneca, or looking at Epictetus, or looking at Marcus Aurelius. You can just pick up this book and read one of these quotes a day, and basically it lays it out in logical order, kind of the different disciplines and the different sort of practices within Stoicism. So in that sense, the aggregation of it is quite well done, and it just makes, I guess, learning Stoicism a little bit more efficient. And then also the fact that it sort of encourages you to read a different quote every day means that you kind of, it's kind of like drip feeding Stoic wisdom into your life on a day-to-day basis, because sometimes you will pick up a book and you may read the book in a week or a month or whatever, and then you just toss it to the side and that's it. But this book actually encourages you to read Stoic philosophy every single day, and then it becomes much more ingrained, much more part of your actual character. So in that sense, I think these kind of books are quite cool. I would say yes. I mean, I would give this probably about a 4 out of 5. I would say it's a pretty good book. I give him props. I'll give the guy props. I think it's a really good book, unless I'm just really biased towards Stoic philosophy or whatever. But I really like this book, and I would highly recommend buying it. So yeah, that's basically my book review. Like I said, this is going to be a more regular, I'm going to start to do this maybe once a month, because I've got quite a few books that I've read. I've got about 200 to 300 books that I can basically review on this. So yeah, I'm going to leave a link for this book in the description. If you find this vlog entertaining, if you find it interesting, make sure to subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, Jason, at jason.ankin. You will find a link to it in my about section or in the description below. So guys, thank you for watching. My name is Jason Ankin. This is my vlog channel, and I will see you later. Bye.